Okay, so we know tangent of 3 pi is actually equal to 0. Because it's sine of 3 pi over cosine of 3 pi. And sine of 3 pi is equal to 0, so you end up with 0 over cosine of 3 pi, which is 0. Okay, so you have tangent of theta minus 0 over 1 minus tangent of theta times 0. Okay, so these two just disappear, and that 0 disappears. So you have tangent of theta over 1, which is just tangent of theta. Okay, so that just simplifies the tangent of theta. All right, so any questions on that one? Okay. Okay. So let's say for our next example, we want to compute the exact value of tangent of 45 degrees minus 30 degrees. Okay, so now for our minus, tangent of A minus B is tangent of A minus tangent of B divided by 1 plus tangent of A times tangent of B. Okay, so if we have our tangent of 45 minus 30, we let our 45 be our A, and our 30 degrees is our B. Okay, so that's going to equal tangent of A. So tangent of 45 degrees minus tangent of B, that's tangent of 30 degrees, divided by 1 plus tangent of 45 degrees times tangent of 30. I don't really need those extra parentheses. Just makes it look cluttered. Clean that one up just a little more. There we go. Okay, so tangent of 45 times tangent of 30. Okay, so now our tangent of 45 degrees is equal to 1 minus our tangent of 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 3 divided by 1 plus tangent of 45 is 1 times square root of 3 over 3. Okay, so that gives us 1 minus square root of 3 over 3 divided by 1 plus square root of 3 over 3. Okay, so if we're going to simplify this, we can make this, if we multiply this 1 by 3 over 3, we can have 3 minus square root of 3 over 3 divided by 3 plus square root of 3 over 3. Okay, so if we're going to go ahead and simplify that, we'll have 3 minus square root of 3 over 3 divided by 3 plus square root of 3 over 3, which simplifies to 3 minus square root of 3 over 3 Division changed to multiplication, and we flip our second one. 3 over 3 plus square root of 3. Or our 3's cancel out. Okay, so that's going to equal 3 minus square root of 3 over 3 plus square root of 3. Okay, now for this one, it kind of depends on the form that they want the answer to come in, because there are two separate ways you can do it. You can rationalize the denominator. If you have 3 minus square root of 3 over 3 minus square root of 3, and do the FOIL method for both, you have 3. Your outer is negative 3 square root of 3. Your inner is negative 3 square root of 3. And your last is plus 3. Over, you FOIL here, you have your first. So you have, oh, why did I put 3 there? It should have been 9. There we go. Okay, so your first, you have 9. Your outer is minus 3 square root of 3 and plus 3 square root of 3, so they cancel out. And your last, square root of 3 times square root of 3 is just 3. Okay, so you end up with 12 minus 6 square root of 3 over 6. Which gives you 2 minus square root of 3. Okay, so that's usually the form they want. They want to have it to where there are no fractions. All right, so any questions on that one? All right. Still writing. Okay, so now we're going to cover the double angle formulas. Okay, so if we have our cosine of, instead of a plus b, I'll use x and y. Say cosine of x plus y is equal to cosine of x cosine of y minus sine of x times sine of y. And we also know that sine of x plus y is equal to sine of x cosine of y plus sine of y cosine of x. Okay. So what if we let y just equal x? Then you have cosine of x plus x equals cosine of x times cosine of x, since that y became x, minus sine of x times sine of x. Okay. That means you have cosine of 2x equals cosine squared of x minus sine squared of x. Okay, so that's our cosine double angle formula. Now for sines, we do the same thing. You have sine of x plus x equals sine of x times cosine of x plus sine of x times cosine of x. So that means sine of 2x. You have sine x cosine x plus sine x cosine x. That's just equal to 2 sine x cosine x. Okay, which is our sine double angle formula. Okay, so there are actually different variations of these two formulas. Just depends on how they're manipulated. Okay, do I have enough room? Yeah, I should have enough room. Okay, so we know that our double angle formula for cosine is cosine squared of x minus sine squared of x. Okay, so what if we decide to, let's say, cosine squared of x is equal to 1 minus sine squared of x. Okay, this becomes 1 minus sine squared of x minus sine squared of x. So it would become 1 minus 2 sine squared of x. Okay. What if we decide to let sine squared of x equals 1 minus cosine squared of x? That means this, if we change the sine squared to 1 minus cosine squared, that would be cosine squared minus 1 plus cosine squared. So that would be 2 cosine squared of x minus 1. All three of these are the same double angle formula. Any questions on any of those? Okay. Now our tangent double angle formula, remember that's just, let me kind of separate that, sine of 2x over cosine of 2x. Okay. Now our sine of 2x is 2 sine of x cosine of x. And our cosine is cosine squared of x minus sine squared of x. Okay. Now what if we decided to divide everything by cosine squared? Numerator and denominator. Uh-oh. By cosine squared of x. So if we did that, move that over a little bit, we have 2 sine x cosine x divided by cosine squared, which means one of the cosines would cancel out. So we'd end up with 2 times sine x over cosine x. Divided by cosine squared over cosine squared is just 1. minus sine squared over cosine squared of x. Actually, I could have went ahead and written that in there. I'll leave it like that. Let's just have another step anyway. I'll just put it in instead of skipping it. Okay. Cosine squared of x or cosine squared of x. Okay, so here we have 2 times sine over cosine, which is tangent. So you have 2 times tangent of x divided by cosine divided by cosine is 1 minus sine squared over cosine squared is tangent squared. Okay, so this is our tangent double angle. All right, so any questions on that one? Okay, so let's say, for example, if we're given that tangent of theta is equal to 5, what is tangent of 2 theta? Okay, so we know that our tangent of 2 theta is equal to 2 times tangent, don't really need that parentheses, 2 times the tangent of theta divided by 1 minus tangent squared of theta. Okay. Now they gave us that tangent theta is equal to 5. So this is just going to be 2 times 5 divided by 1 minus tangent theta squared is just 5 squared. Which is 10 over negative 24, which simplifies to negative 5 over 12. All right, so any questions on that one? Okay. So let's say, for example, if we're given that cosine of theta is equal to 3 square root of 10 over 10 in quadrant 1. Okay. So we want to find sine of 2 theta. Okay. So the first thing you have to do is draw our triangle. It's the only way we're going to find sine of 2 theta. Right triangle in quadrant 1. We'll bring that up some. Okay, so in quadrant 1, remember this is our cosine of theta. Remember, cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. So if that's 3 square root of 10 over 10, then our adjacent is 3 square root of 10. And our hypotenuse is 10. So using the Pythagorean theorem, we actually solve for this side, which is square root of 10. So found using a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay. So since we're looking for sine of 2 theta, so second, use the formula. Okay, so sine of 2 theta is equal to 2 times sine of theta cosine of theta. Okay, which is equal to 2, our sine of theta. Actually, put that right on the side here. Sine of theta, which is opposite over hypotenuse, is square root of 10 over 10. Okay, so we have square root of 10 over 10 times our cosine of theta, which is what they gave us, 3 square root of 10 over 10. Okay, so that simplifies to be 2 times 3. Square root of 10 times square root of 10 is just 10. All over 10 times 10. Instead of making that 100, I'll just leave it like that so I can cancel those out. Okay, and that gives us 6 over 10, which is 3 over 5. All right. So any questions on that one? Actually, you could have done this a lot faster, and I'll show you in the next example how you could have skipped all the triangles and everything else. I'll leave that up for a few seconds. Still writing. Okay. Okay, so let's say, for example, if we are given sine of theta equals negative 24 over 25 in quadrant 3, if you want to find cosine of 2 theta. Well, actually, you can only do it with cosine, so it's not really a shortcut you can use on the sine. And the only reason you can do it with cosine is because cosine has so many different double angle formulas. Okay, so remember, cosine of 2 theta is equal to cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta. We also found that cosine 2 theta is equal to 2 cosine squared theta minus 1. And we also found out that it is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared theta. Go clean that up just a bit. So since they gave us sine, if we use this one, we can bypass all of the triangles and everything else. Okay. So we don't need the triangle for this formula. Okay. So if we know if cosine of 2 theta is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared of theta, or you can say sine theta squared, that's going to equal 1 minus 2 times negative 24 over 25 squared. Okay, so all you're doing is plugging in what they gave you. That's going to equal 1 minus 24 times, well, negative and negative is positive. So 24 and 24 is 576. So you have 2 times 576 over 25 squared, which is 625. Okay. So if we combine our like terms, or not combine our like terms, combine our terms, you can make this 625 over 625 minus 2 times 576 is 1,152 over 625. So clean that up just a bit. Yeah, that looks worse. Over 625. There we go. Which gives you negative 527 over 625 as your cosine of 2 theta. All right. So any questions on that one? All right. Still writing. Okay, so let's say if we had the example and we had to simplify 1 minus 2 times sine squared of 3 pi over 5. And we should beat the clock on this one because this one's pretty quick. Okay. So we know that cosine of 2 theta is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared of theta. Okay. So that means if we let theta equals 3 pi over 5. So if we let theta equals 3 pi over 5, cosine of 2 times 3 pi over 5 is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared of 3 pi over 5. Okay. So that means this is just equal to cosine of 6 pi over 5. So all we did was match up our right side, and our left side just simplified. So any questions on that one? Okay. Okay, so what if we wanted to simplify? Cosine squared of pi over 8 minus sine squared of pi over 8. And I'll go ahead and restart.